Pokémon Legends ZA has come and gone. With it, Mega Evolution has come back into the limelight. The very start of Pokemon games introducing a new gimmick to the battles, and by far the most popular. Is it because it was the first? Is it because it's the flashiest and most game-changing? Well, yeah. But moreover, Mega Evolution has the most in-depth lore. Terratypes just come from Terapagos. Dynamax just comes from Eternatus. Strong and agile style. Well, that's just movement. Megas aren't that simple. That's what's kept them interesting for so long. Unfortunately, after this game's season, Mega Evolution is probably going back into the Pokevault. So before we bid adieu, I think it's fitting to go over everything we know, set some records straight, and even connect some unseen dots. Hi, I'm Foolhardy, and this is all the lore of Mega Evolution. Before we get into the thick of it, what is Mega Evolution? In simple terms, it's a temporary power-up form activated on certain Pokemon. Think Super Saiyan or some other shonen equivalent. Unlike Gigantamax, Mega Evolution works by awakening a Pokemon's dormant genes. This is most obvious with Mega Salamence, which gains the crescent-shaped wingspan of its ancestor, Roaring Moon. Then there's Pokemon like Dragonite and Scolipede, both of which gain features of their previous forms. Mega Pokemon get 100 points split upon their stats, except for HP. Some Pokemon can change their typing. Sceptile gains Dragon, Golisopod goes from Bug Water to Bug Steel, and Aggron drops the Rock type to become full Steel. Along with that, Pokemon may also get their abilities changed. Venusaur naturally has the ability Overgrow, but Mega Venusaur always has Thick Fat. In order for a trainer to Mega Evolve their Pokemon, 3 things are required. 1. An item called a Keystone held by the trainer. 2. A Megastone specific to that Pokemon species. And 3. A strong bond between that trainer and Pokemon. Supposedly, the games don't actually take the friendship value into account, so we'll put that on the back burner. Lastly, Mega Evolution isn't all sunshine and rainbows. The great power granted upon these Pokemon comes at a terrible price. No, not the held item slot. If Mega Evolution isn't done correctly, it can cause immense pain and aggression to the Pokemon. This is the whole plot of Legends ZA, which we'll get into later. The Alola Pokédex goes into more detail about their conditions. Several Pokemon are literally melting, and Glalie jaw is completely broken. It can't eat, and worst of all, it's still Glalie! The best way to think about Mega Evolution is the theoretical next stage of a Pokemon forced upon it. All the Pokemon that have Mega forms can no longer evolve. They have reached the peak of their natural biology. Mega Evolution is pushing past those limits, going even further beyond. In the words of Professor Sycamore, it's an evolution that transcends all other evolution. Now, some Pokemon are exceptions to the rules, but it's easier to explain those as we get into the origins. As I said, Mega Evolution has a lot of lore, and it's hard to piece together. So let's just get into it. Keep in mind, I'm speaking in chronological order of events. and not everything I say is directly confirmed, but is somewhat alluded to. So, ahem. Our story begins in the Kalos region, a country known for its beauty and deep connections among the people. Yet it wasn't always like this. 3,000 years ago, Kalos was trapped in a devastating war. It grew so bad, the king of Kalos, Az, was forced to send his most beloved Pokémon to fight, a Floette with a rare black flower. Later on, the king was given a small box, knowing instantly what was inside. Az wouldn't accept this. He built a device meant to resurrect Floette. It would work by absorbing the life force of nearby Pokémon and transferring it back into Floette. Except in Pokémon, life force has a different name: Infinity Energy. So at the price of many, Floette was brought back and given eternal life. Unfortunately, Az wasn't satisfied. He couldn't forgive the world for taking Floette from him. Blinded by rage, he rebuilt his device into one known as the ultimate weapon. Once fired, the blast reached the atmosphere, only to turn back on the Earth. In a single instance, the war came to an end. Both sides were decimated. The ruins of the battlefield became Route 10 of Kalos, lined with graves of all the Pokémon. Floette, learning that many lives were lost to save her own, left Az. With her gone, Az fell into despair. He started to wander the world, searching for an end to the pain he felt. But that wouldn't come for a long time. Exposure to his own machine had extended his life by 3,000 years. To protect what remained of Kalos, Az's brother buried the ultimate weapon underneath what would become the town of Geosenge. The firing of the ultimate weapon had changed the Pokémon world in ways unimaginable. The machine works by distilling energy into its purest form. That energy can then be emitted in various ways, such as convection, conduction, and radiation. This new energy would be later known as Mega Power. Over the next 1,000 years, meteorites in Earth's atmosphere mutated into keystones. Evolution stones around the world were mutated into megastones of various Pokémon. How these stones could be used wouldn't be discovered until later. Then there were the Carbink, a mineral-based Pokémon that lived throughout Kalos' Reflection Cave. Exposure to Mega Power caused one Carbink to be born with bright pink crystals. This Pokémon would come to be known as the mythical Diancie. Its gems have a connection to another Kalos landmark, the Anastar Sundial, a giant pink crystal that has the ability to power up keystones. It's said to have come from space, but we're never told what it is. From what we learn in Legend ZA, it's likely a huge manifestation of Mega power. During this period of time, AZ was approached by a man of high status. He asked AZ to make a machine that could help protect Kalos. AZ would not build another device that takes life, so he tried to make one that gives. This was the construction of Ange, a machine that would share the eternal life he bestowed Floette. Ange was built inside the crown jewel of Lumio City, Prism Tower. AZ planned to use this device once he reunited with Floette, but this didn't happen, so Ange lay dormant for centuries. While Kalos was in a better state, things were far more catastrophic across the distant oceans. The Hoenn region was well known for its mass of land and sea. This was the result of two rivaling legendaries: Primal Groudon, the continent Pokémon, and Primal Kyogre, the sea basin Pokémon. In this age, the two constantly fought over the world's natural energy. Humans were completely helpless against the clash of titans. It was then when Hoenn was hit by a meteorite storm. They had landed near a cave with a large waterfall. This cave was the home of the Draconids, a tribe of people known to bond with dragon-type Pokémon. The meteorites emitted a rainbow glow, and in response to that light, an emerald dragon descended from the heavens. Rayquaza, the sky-high Pokémon. With its power, Rayquaza quelled Groudon and Kyogre, sending them into petrification. Rayquaza seeks out meteorites as food, but to the people of Hoenn, it was their savior. After 1,000 years, Hoenn was once again struck by a meteor shower. Only this time, a giant meteor struck the planet, leaving a massive crater in the ocean. The impact of the meteor cracked the land, causing a huge amount of natural energy to pour out. This awoke Groudon and Kyogre, allowing their rivalry to once again threaten the world. The people of that era had heard legends about the Pokémon that saved them before, and so, they wished and prayed that Rayquaza would appear. The large meteorite had begun to shine that same rainbow light as before, and once again, Rayquaza descended. Responding to both the light of the meteor and the people's wishes, Rayquaza transformed into something never seen before, marking this as the first Mega Evolution. Rayquaza is a special case, being the only Pokémon that can Mega Evolve without a corresponding stone. Eating the irradiated meteorites over the years, Rayquaza had developed a Makaido organ, a filter for the meteorites that serves the role as a Mega Stone. With its new form, Rayquaza drained Groudon and Kyogre of their primal power, and they vanished to once again slumber. Rayquaza returned to its normal form and flew back into the atmosphere. The conflict had been witnessed by a tall visitor, AZ. He labeled Mega Rayquaza as the Delta, born out of the great disturbances of the world, by the bonds of mankind's wishes and the power of the stones. It will calm the troubles that plague the world. Az left Hoenn by planting a tree in the great crater that would become Sootopolis City. One that would grow the same eternal flower as his Floette. The Draconids built a tower called Sky Pillar, a place to hold the huge keystone, record their history in murals, and bring themselves closer to Rayquaza in the heavens. The events in Hoenn had sparked interest in Rayquaza's new form. More specifically, the shining stones that filled the Kalos region. In Shalor City, the Tower of Mastery was built to protect one of these stones. This caught the attention of an unnamed trainer and their Lucario. In the city, they discovered the first compatible Mega and Keystone. It was them who performed the first Mega Evolution in Kalos. And a giant statue was erected in the tower to commemorate their accomplishment. From there, Mega Evolution was a known phenomenon in the world. The keepers of the tower dedicated themselves to learning all they could, creating a long line of Mega Evolution gurus that still exist to this day. The next centuries would be filled with peace, but the Draconids were not calmed. Learning from their history, they foretold that the meteorites would fall again in another 1,000 years. This one would be big enough to break the world forever. They devised a plan for future generations. Summon Rayquaza before the meteor could strike. It would be the only hope. Modern-day Hoenn only knows of the Weather Trio in passing folklore. Yet there were two men who saw the potential in those legends. The leader of Team Magma, Maxie. He wanted to expand the world's landmass for the sake of human progress. The leader of Team Aqua, Archie. He wanted to expand the world's oceans for the sake of Pokémon evolution. They garnered the attention of Zinnia, a young woman who joined their ranks and had vital information about the duo of land and sea. It was then that Project Azoth was created. Awaken Groudon and Kyogre. Use the energy of the red and blue orbs to restore their primal power and bring the world back to its original state. To do this, Archie and Maxie researched the power of the ultimate weapon, developing a drill to break open their resting chamber, the Seafloor Cavern. Project Azoth was a success. Too much of a success. It was only after it was too late that Archie and Maxie realized the super ancient Pokémon could not be controlled. The price of expanding the land and sea would be the extinction of all life. The world would have fallen if not for the young trainers May and Brendan. They chased Groudon and Kyogre to the Cave of Origin, and at the deepest point, they transformed. While primal reversion is a similar phenomenon to Mega Evolution, there are important differences. Groudon and Kyogre aren't evolving, it's the restoration of their original forms. And while the source of Mega Evolution is the ultimate weapon, the source of primal reversion is the natural energy of the world. The two legendaries were inevitably captured, ending the apocalypse over Hoenn. The region should have been at peace, but things didn't go the way Zinnia had planned. The truth about her is that she was the current lore keeper of the Draconids, the one who is tasked with fulfilling the prophecy. Joining Team Aqua and Magma and giving them information about the legendaries was all done in hopes Rayquaza would be summoned by their rampage. That plan went under when Hoenn's new champion was able to stop them, leaving little time before the meteor would come. It wasn't long before this caught the attention of the Moss Deep Space Center and the Devon Corporation. They devised the plan to use infinity energy to send the meteor to another dimension. Zinnia stops them, reasoning that the safety for them would be the death of someone else. The Draconids theorized that there was another Hoenn, one where the Kalos War never happened, one where the ultimate weapon was never built, one where things like Mega Evolution and Primal Reversion don't exist. The people and Pokémon of that world would be killed if this plan went through. So Zinnia destroys the link cable and invites the player to meet her at Sky Pillar. There, she uses the keystones stolen from the people of Hoenn to summon Rayquaza. She begs for it to Mega Evolve, but learns that Rayquaza has lost much of its own power. That is until Rayquaza swallows the meteorite held by the player, gaining a boost of strength. With the two teaming up, Rayquaza Mega Evolves and destroys the meteor, finally saving Hoenn once and for all. Many years later, Mega Evolution was still a mystery in Kalos. The phenomenon had piqued the interest of the region's main researcher, Professor Sycamore. He recruited 5 young trainers to seek out Mega Evolution and learn the secrets behind it. Unfortunately, their quest would come into conflict with someone whose desires outweighed any common sense. Lysander was a man who aimed to fix the strife of the world using the money earned with his technology. He formed Team Flare, a place for people to come together and help one another. But as time went on, Lysander lost his faith in humanity. As long as the population grew, people would fight over resources, jeopardizing the beauty of the world. But Lysander knew exactly how to save that beauty before it was too late. He was the descendant of Azzy's brother. He knew everything about the war and the ultimate weapon. Lysander captured the former king, still wandering aimlessly, and took the key to his machine with a plan in mind. What would happen if instead of using the energy of numerous Pokémon, the weapon was powered with 2 Pokémon who have the most life energy of all? the one that gives, Xerneas, and the one that takes, Yveltal. A blast from that weapon would be enough to wipe out everyone on the planet except for Team Flare. Even Pokémon, who would always be used as tools of conflict. And he would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for those meddling kids and their mangy furfroos. With Xerneas and Yveltal free, Lysander is defeated. He laments that his beautiful world will never be. Callum, Serena, and Shauna try to reason that his Mega Evolution with Gyarados is proof enough that bonds and cooperation is enough to make the world a better place. Lysander doesn't accept. With the little energy the weapon still has left, he fires it, trying to take the children down with him. But the only thing that happens is the weapon's blast turns back on itself, destroying the building and seemingly burying Lysander deep underground. Once Team Flare was stopped, the 5 children were thanked for their efforts. Yet after the celebration, AZ approaches the new champion of Kalos and demands a battle, wanting to truly understand what a trainer is. AZ lost the battle, but he smiles, finally letting go of the anger and freeing himself from the past. The message is heard. In the skies above, Floette returns, forgiving AZ after all this time. A lot has happened in 5 years. The second firing of the ultimate weapon had caused a chain reaction throughout Kalos. New Megastones were discovered, created from mutated stones just like before. This included the new Z Mega classification. Mega forms that can attack much faster, but can't maintain their forms for as long. And while I'm at it, there were also X and Y Megas I haven't mentioned. They have no unique qualities like Z, they just exist to specify Mega evolutions of the same species. Lumio City was now infested by hordes of wild Pokémon. As such, an urban redevelopment plan was started to make the city a place for both people and Pokémon. This was headed by Quasartico Inc., a holotech company that transformed areas of the city into wild zones. Quasartico Inc. also did their own research into Mega Power, discovering that it can be given to Pokemon that can't Mega Evolve. Plus moves are more powerful attacks, using stored energy in a trainer's keystone. This would prove invaluable to the new threat on the horizon. The wild Pokemon didn't show up for no reason. They came because of Ange. AZ's second device was awakening due to Lysander's actions. Prism Tower was now outpouring massive amounts of Mega Power, most of which became bright pink crystals around the city. Again, very similar to Diancie and the Anastar Sundial. The crystals weren't the problem though. Wild Pokemon who absorbed too much power Mega Evolved on their own. Without the bonds of trainers, these Pokemon can't control themselves, battling anything they see and suffering all the while. Thankfully, AZ knew this would happen. He and Floette moved to Lumios and set up a hotel. On the night Prism Tower was bathed in an ominous glow, he approached Quasartico Inc. with a plan. find the strongest Mega Evolution user. Only a trainer like that would be able to wield Mega Floette and deactivate Ange. Eternal Floette is the only underevolved Pokemon that has a Mega form. Due to its resurrection, AZ's Floette is unable to become a Florges. It also has a Mega Stone that doesn't work with any other Floette. AZ wouldn't be able to do this himself. His extended life was finally coming to an end. He was currently in a state too weak for a serious battle. Quasartigo Inc. agreed. They formed the ZA Royale, a tournament to find the strongest trainer in Lumios. The title of strongest Mega Evolution user would be shared with two trainers. Tawny Urbane, the leader of Team MZ, and the player character Paxton or Harmony. Together, along with Lita and Naveen, subdued all the rogue Mega Pokemon in the city. Notably, once a rogue Mega Pokemon is defeated, their corresponding Mega Stone is created before your very eyes. The game describes this as the Pokemon thanking you for saving them. This introduces that there are multiple ways to create Mega Stones. In fact, later on, Quasartigo just makes a Mega Stone for Magearna, using the Mega Shards around the city. It all goes back to the manipulation of Mega Power. The task of deactivating Ange falls onto Tawny and Urbane. Paxton and Harmony had a different role to play. Upon entering the city, they had caught the attention of Zygarde, the Order Pokemon and the defender of the ecosystem. Zygarde challenged the player at every turn, eventually gifting them with a seemingly unremarkable pebble. Along with Zygarde, the player also caught the attention of L, aka Lysander. He had survived the ultimate weapon thanks to Zygarde, and now asked to live 3,000 years himself. Most of his memories were gone, which was actually a good thing. No longer holding hatred for humanity, L was able to reflect on his mistakes, finally realizing that the children who stopped him 5 years ago were right. Zygarde depended on L to regain its strength. Saving him and other Pokemon 5 years ago scattered the cells of its body to a far-off region. At the end of the game, Tawny and Urbane flew to the top of Prism Tower and used Mega Floette to absorb the power coming from Ange. This backfires as Ange takes control of Floette, becoming Hyper Rogue Ange Floette. Prism Tower breaks off its shell and sprouts roots, wrecking the streets of Lumios. Every wild Pokemon Mega evolves en masse and start to gang up on civilians. At that moment, Zygarde beckons the player to come to them. With the help of everyone in Lumios, Paxton and Harmony make their way to team up with Zygarde and stop the tower. The battle is won, but Ange still has one more move. Releasing all its power, Ange fires a blast to destroy the whole city. Before it could land, the pebble given to the player starts to glow. Gripping it tightly, it transforms into the Zygarde. It's not really explained how this happens, but I interpret this as Zygarde creating the Mega Stone itself. Being the balancer between life and death, it would only make sense to also have the ability to manipulate infinity energy like the other two. Either way, Mega Zygarde is an interesting one. It only gets a 70 stat boost, probably just for competitive balancing. Along with that, Mega Evolution changes Zygarde's Core Enforcer into a new move called Nihil Light. L states that Zygarde absorbed the energy of the land during its time in Alola, giving it essentially a Z move. And it packs a punch. Ange's blast is dissolved, finally freeing Floette and Team MZ's leader. All should have been well, but returning to Hotel Z revealed an unfortunate sight. AZ had passed away that night, though he had no regrets. He was finally at peace now that all his sins had been atoned for. Lumios was free of Ange, but there was still one more crisis that Team MZ had to take care of. Distortions in reality started appearing around the city, with a giant distortion hovering above the broken Prism Tower. Teaming up with Ancha and her Hoopa, Team MZ entered the distortions to find a warped version of their city, Hyperspace Lumios. A place where Pokémon were more powerful than what should have been possible. If that wasn't dangerous enough, Hyperspace also had rogue Mega Pokémon. A death threat to Lumios, as Hyperspace was at risk of swallowing up the whole city. To save Lumios and the Pokémon, the player and Team MZ's leader teamed up with Karina, the current Mega Evolution guru after her grandfather. Their adventures led them to find that Hyperspace Lumios is a world created from the dreams and subconscious thoughts of the people and Pokémon in the city, all of which is generated by a single Pokémon above Prism Tower. Hyperspace would only stop expanding once that Pokémon was defeated. To enter the tower's distortion, the citizens of Lumios banded together to give Hoopa the power of their keystones. Through a donut. I didn't know how to bring that up. Donuts can Mega Evolve. Once inside, Karina finally pieces together who is behind this. The mythical Pokémon Darkrai, a being that hides away to avoid inflicting people with its dangerous nightmares. Darkrai was hiding in Prism Tower when Ange awoke, absorbing the energy and driving its dream power out of control. Truly a mark to the limits of Mega Power. But just like the others, Darkrai is freed from the pain. The distortion above the tower fades away, and Lumios is safe. With that, our story ends here. That is all the lore of Mega Evolution explained to the best of my abilities. You know, I have a soft spot for the other gimmicks. I want them to be expanded on and gain more popularity, but I can't lie that Mega Evolution isn't my favorite. The possibilities seem endless. And you know what? I think that's worth putting up with some fan service. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. And remember, Mega Starmie is in your walls.